Hello, this is Sophie Lu-Axelsson at Swedish Care International. I'm here with Konstsamfundet CEO, Mr. Stefan Björkman. Hi, Stefan. Can you hear
Hi.
me today?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, and it's a sunny day here. Sitting and
Where
on a
are
rock.
you? That's fantastic. Can you tell me where exactly you are then, Stefan?
Yes, I'm at Södra Långvik, which was Amos Andersson's, our founder's summer house, which we have now renovated. So it's an extraordinary day today to be able to open after almost 2.5 years of restoration.
That's a big undertaking. What do you have to think about in Finland in terms of restorations of that kind of nature? Were there heritage and cultural elements to consider when you undertake a huge project of that scope?
Well, I think there are kind of two main issues to consider. One is to just manage the cost, and we decided that we have an own team that we engaged. There was an architect, a purchaser, and a site person, and then we split it into over 30 different subcontracts to be able to control this because you had very specific, some small, some big items, but to have somebody external managing it would have been almost impossible because you have to kind of consider uh, all types of issues. And the second thing was heritage, so that just the philosophy, what do you aim for? Uh, the house has a history of over 150 years.
Hmm.
So what to choose, and we chose to kind of prioritize Amos Andersson's kind of prime, the 30s and the 40s, and there we had expertise and of course authorities controlling that we were not doing anything unsustainable in terms of.
Hmm.
So we
Fantastic.
were we had a lot of controllers.
I can imagine for something that important with that much weight in a historical, historical meaning, especially for Konstsamfundet and with your namesake, Amos Andersson. What does it mean now that it's open? Söderlångvik is open at last after 2 years of hardcore renovations and restoration. What does this mean for visitors coming out? What is available to them if they go visit Söderlångvik?
Well, now we have a kind of three different things that you might consider. We have this cultural heritage where the summer house is the main part,
Yes?
or manor, if you want to use a language word. And there is a small cafeteria, lunch place, which is fairly high quality. Uh, then you have the art. We have an exhibition that is now this time concentrating on the same era as the restoration was done. And then we have 7,000 hectares of land, and we have just recently, 2 years ago, made a big sanctuary, so 200 hectares, and that's maybe a 16-kilometer walk, a round trip, and you see the most beautiful island archipelago in the world. Uh,
That's fantastic.
so it's there is something for everybody, I would say. If it's culture you want, or if it's really silence, we can offer both.
That's wonderful. This must be so rewarding for you and your team. Opening it up 2021 summer on a beautiful summer day in Finland. It's been a hard time for all of us, really. 2020, 2021 has not been easy for Finland, Sweden, the world. Um, could you tell me a little bit about Konstsamfundet's other works, particularly within training, vocational side of encouraging Finnish talent to contribute to their societies. You spoke about it last year, but maybe you can talk about the extra weight of it and the importance of it, given what's been going on in the world, Stefan.
Yes. I think there's really a contrast. I'm standing here now looking at this white, almost castle, and we have a large apple orchard, and it's just starting to bloom. So the issue could not be further away from the actual situation.
Mm,
But and I think that's an important thing. We need also to keep hope alive. And when I have discussed with young people, especially those who are starting their studies, this has been very tough for them because the social part is, I would say, in the first year almost more important than than, than any topic that you might
I
study.
agree. I agree.
And seeing to it that we don't get a kind of lost generation here with people that are lost and that they really find their own way is important, and especially at that point I think this hope is important, so that you also show that there is a brighter side to life than just one room and maybe a kitchen. So we have been concentrating on that. We've made together with some of the other foundations on the cultural side a program where we especially stress that we want to support people who lost uh, their income and their work as
Yes.
artists to
Okay.
do something else. And many of them actually came back and wanted to contribute in a way where those who then carried the other burden, like nurses for healthcare, and wanted to somehow cheer up people who were under burden. So I think our challenge now is to kind of re-enter society, and we are prepared as Konstsamfundet to sponsor or kind of different ideas and events and programs that make people meet again. That I
That's
think is
beautiful.
most important now.
That's beautifully said, Stefan. When we think about Konstsamfundet, we think obviously of your the wonderful location in Helsinki. It's iconic now. It's also so poignant that it's a gathering place. It's central to Helsinki, lots of open spaces, culturally robust, but gathering people in a way that's so inclusive and so diverse and encouraging people to peek through windows and be outdoors. Um, you capture that yet again at Söderlångvik.
Yeah.
Um, is
Well,
this
this is
kind of
yeah. I would say that we have two kind of platforms. One is the urban oasis, Amos Rex and Glaspalatset Square, and
sure?
then we have Söderlångvik, which is the country cousin. And I would say in this case, if you visit, I'm not sure which one you would prefer. The country cousin might actually win this time.
Okay, all right then. But isn't it also the blend of the country cousin and the city slicker that makes it all the much better? Each of them
Yeah,
help each other like accentuate their wonderful gifts and their wonderful qualities. And then when you go to one, you miss the other. When you go to the other, you miss this. So it's complementary in many ways.
yeah, and actually it goes back to Amos Anderson. That was his nature also. He had the two sides. He was the
Mm.
country cousin, but when he was here, he was the kind of city kingpin.
Very interesting indeed. I remember you telling me in our interview from 2020 that Amos Anderson also was like, he had also that other kind of the push pull of like being an industrialist, being a businessman. And I use that in the 19 kind of the back in that century, that kind of
Yeah,
terminology. But also he had a really strong feeling for the arts, philanthropy, culture, encouraging growth of culture, and getting out the narratives of artists and supporting them. Um,
yeah. I would even go a little bit further. I would say that he
go
was
for
kind
it.
of part a mystic. He was
Okay.
in the arts. He was not so much kind of interested in the art itself. It was the mysticism around it, the, somehow the
Okay.
other side, and that's why I think he enjoyed the theater so much, religious art.
Okay.
He was very into somehow uh, reuniting Christendom, Catholics and Protestants together.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we fly the colors of the Vatican here at Södra Långvik. It's
Very
the
interesting.
yellow white, and
Mm-hmm.
there is no other reason than he just felt very strongly that there was some other force, and somehow he also uh, thought about both his his mother and his teachers that were mainly the female teachers and some others in the same way. So I think he had this kind of part mysticism, very pragmatic businessman, a very complicated combination.
Highly interesting. The very complex, and what a wonderful way to honor his good works, his memory with these kind of city, country, arts, work, culture, and also like encouraging people to be involved in their societies.
Yeah. But if I'm a little bit crude, I might say he left us no choice because he
Then,
he wrote the bill that way.
so he kind of made sure it was really, really wide and broad.
Yeah. No, I thought that often foundations are really like the searchlight of the founder.
Then. Mm-hmm.
You have had a very strong person in order to commit to something forever, and they have made it felt so that we can kind of we see it still today. It's in that way a foundation is very different from a commercial company where you can change strategy and go in some other direction and so on.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting indeed. You have at Konstsamfundet been a supporter of the Queen Silvia Nursing Award in Finland for a number of years. Um, Queen Silvia Nursing Award is a scholarship program for nurses and nursing students in a number of countries. Finland was number two, in which nurses contribute ideas. Nurses and nursing
Yeah.
students contribute ideas to lift the quality of life, lift the quality of care for older people and people living with dementia. Would you like to maybe contribute a couple of comments about why this was important then, Stefan? Why did Konstsamfundet feel that this was a area that was important for contribution?
Well, we have three areas where we want to be active, and arts is one. Then there is how to keep a Swedish everyday life alive in Finland. And then we
Yes.
have vocational training. And nursing is very important in the two latter. It's very
Yes.
fundamental for the whole society and for, of course, the individual that you can get the care in your
Mm-hmm.
language by competent staff when you need it.
Mm.
And again, nursing is is a very big area in vocational training. So I think this is a natural fit in that way. And why we thought Queen Silvia's Nursing Award was a good way forward was that, well, I think the public sector is very dominant in the field of healthcare. And also the institutions in healthcare in general are fairly conservative and
Yes.
hierarchical. And there we must change this towards a system where also younger colleagues get their voices and their ideas heard. And we felt that this was a good way to really give this quality stamp for initiatives in that field.
That's interesting that you said that it's been healthcare tends to be a little bit more traditional, hierarchical, and
And
yet again,
well, for good reason. I mean, I'm not
sure.
questioning. There are many good reasons to be very structured and so on. It's literally it could be a question of life and death. So we
Yes.
don't want people to improvise, but that
Yes.
doesn't mean that you cannot take in new ideas and also value your less experienced colleagues.
I think that's really well said. And I think that also ties really beautifully to this interesting person who is Amos Anderson, who could see, different elements of his surroundings, such as business, culture, arts, the women in his life, lifting them up, but also like religion, as you mentioned and
Yeah,
alluded to a little bit earlier. And this perhaps even reaches into uh, the, the scholarship that you kindly support and have been doing so for a number of years in just terms of like, yeah, healthcare is important. There is a certain reason and rhyme behind having procedures and processes, is life and death, as you said. But okay, how can younger colleagues contribute? Are their ideas? Can we listen to them? Can we uh, recognize them even? And that's a beautiful thing to do, especially in this world where there are even more and more ideas that are being shared, but maybe they don't always get recognized for what they are. Definitely. So tell me, in the next couple of weeks then, it is a beautiful day out there at Long Week. The weather is fantastic. Sky is blue, sun is shining. And what have you got planned? Are there any specific plans for Söderlångvik in the next couple of weeks? Will they have their own plan there in terms of like what will be happening, the different exhibitions, etc.?
yeah. Well, I think a little bit in accordance to what the authorities want, we do this as a kind of slow start. So we open the doors,
Yes, of course.
and we have to keep safety in mind. So we are not kind of maybe beating the drum as much as we had planned. But on the other hand, for us, this is just the beginning of the next 80 years. So we have a fairly ambitious plans how to develop this. So this one slow starting season for a few weeks is quite quite a small hiccup in that. But what the visitors can really see is a nice exhibition, and of course the place now in its full glory, I would say. And take a walk in the park and just enjoy the scenery.
That's fantastic. So this mjuk start, this soft start, is just a thing that is part of the overall scheme of 80 years of planning, of 150 years of planning. It's just a small situation that you need to be quite sensible and sensitive to, but this place will survive, no doubt, for many, many years to come. That's wonderful then. Then, Stefan, I hope that you have had a healthy year so far. Let's hålla tummarna. Let's make sure that we keep all of our fingers crossed for a really safe um, summer season for you at Söderlångvik. And of course, your colleagues who are hosting anybody who might be at Amos Rex in Helsinki, if there are any city slickers who are visiting there. And we
Well,
look for, yeah, yeah, they could go city
well,
Rex
the museum
country.
is open. The museum is open. unfortunately, also
Wonderful.
there you have to order the tickets in advance. But
Okay.
I think the rules will change within the next few weeks, and then we have a fairly good vaccination situation now. So I think this
Yes.
is a fairly temporary situation.
Fantastic.
Thanks to the good nurses.
Yes, most definitely. Thanks for all of the healthcare workers who have done this to get us to this point where we can actually potentially dream of going back to a little bit of normalcy in summer 2021. So check out your information to ensure that it's correct. Book your tickets in advance. And let's hope that it's a really smooth season for your organization, both in the country and in the city. Stefan, thank you so much for your time today and just giving us a little bit of a flavor of what is out there at the Summer Manor Söderlångvik. Thanks again. Have a great opening and stay safe.
Yes, thank you. It was a pleasure, and with some apple blossoms over and out from
Oh,
the long week.
thank you so much.